STAKK Nation, Crypto Warriors, welcome back to the channel, man. Top of the morning to everyone.
Champions.
Look at this, man. It's a beautiful Monday morning. Let's make sure we have the correct branding on the screen. Awesome. Double O, man. Let's get into it. What are we looking at today? Of course, just give us a rundown while we wait on everyone to show up and while I get my act together on this screen share.
Yeah, it looks like money's about to change faces. That's for sure. IMF doing its magic as usual.
The IMF.
Yes.
This is one of those organizations that I know we've not spoken about it a lot for a while, but it's always very interesting to get a better understanding of what some of these three-letter agencies, the relationship that they have with money and the government. Because for the most part, like, you never hear about the IMF or all of these people. But then all of a sudden, when we find ourselves in this interesting situation where the whole world is changing, we have all of these entities that are coming forth with their perspective on how we should handle money.
Solutions.
Yeah,
Solutions to say. Create the problem, but then come up with the solution.
exactly. Right. So today we're just going to be discussing. Should we look at some comments first? We probably have some comments before we move forward.
Yeah.
Always be okay. We're in there. No comments yet. And we already have about 6 people joining us today. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning, champions.
Hope you guys are having a spectacular Monday morning.
Good morning, Crypto Warriors.
Awesome. So I'm going to share my screen here because I think it's probably good to start with the definition of the IMF.
Of the three-letter word.
I went to their website because, a lot of times, man, I just want to go straight to the source and I want them to tell me how they feel about.
Who are you?
Yeah, tell us who you are, right? And then we can
decrypt that.
Exactly. We can take it from there. We can interpret it based on your actions.
Intersect it. Interject.
It's called dissected?
Dissection.
And all that stuff. Yeah. So I'm gonna share screen here. I'm not sure what will show up first, but yes, there we go. Okay, so according to the IMF's own website, okay, it's good to take the people at their word, right? And before they say we put words in their mouth. So the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, works to achieve sustainable growth and prosperity for all of its 190 member countries. That would mean that at least 190 countries, or at least a good amount of them, came together at some point during what was called a Bretton Woods agreement of sorts, or at least at some point later on down the line, agreed to be part of this Bretton Woods agreement. It does so by supporting.
Can I say something real quick though? It said achieve sustainable growth and prosperity.
Yes.
Do you see sustainable growth and prosperity in 190 countries?
That is a very good question, man.
Hey, I'm just asking questions, guys.
I guess we could. Another way we could also ask that question is: can they name to us a country that they have taken from zero to a state of sustainable growth and prosperity out of all the countries that owe them money? Because that would be, at the end of the day, no matter what you're doing, you have to be able to measure the progress towards what you're doing. If you're unable to measure that progress and show some tangible changes or result, then you're running a scam, depending on what it is you're trying to achieve. It could also be a scam to yourself. You could be lying to yourself. One of those things, right? So it does so by supporting economic policies that promote financial stability and monetary cooperation, which are essential to increase productivity, job creation, and economic well-being. The IMF is governed by and accountable to its member countries. But the last time I read they've upgraded their website now. But there was a point in time when I read this was in their terms and conditions. Interestingly, actually, I think we did a video on this.
Yep.
It would just be something that I have to
About a year ago now.
Yeah. Where these people essentially said that they are immune to it's them and the BIS, and
Mm-hmm.
they're saying we're immune to all the laws.
Yep.
We could violate various policies across the board, but we're still immune to all of this stuff. Now, looking at this from um, Investopia, right?
Mm-hmm.
They say the IMS, the goal is to, again, promote economic growth. This was originally created in 1945 as part of the Bretton Woods Agreement. The Bretton Woods Agreement. Tell us a bit about that.
Bretton Woods
What do you
Agreement
remember of that?
was the agreement that happened after World War II, and these so-called nations wasn't 190 countries at the time.
Right.
Excluding a lot of African countries and South American countries, came together and decided that okay, we're gonna use the U.S. dollar as the form of exchange.
Right.
But it looks like they starting to change their tone now and going away from U.S. dollars now to CBDCs.
Seems like a global or international CBDC setup.
It's in the work.
Right.
Yep.
Which is it's very interesting. And it
Guys.
seems, even though it seems like we already have a means to exchange funds internationally using the same digital asset setup, which is known as Bitcoin. But
No, they want control. We've done several videos about this. If you're not controlling it, it's not gonna work.
Exactly.
And they think it's not going to work.
and that's the thing about that's the other thing I battle with a bit as well. Is it that they think it's not going to work, or is it just they know that it's going to work, but they don't have full control, like you were saying, right? And so at this point in time, all of these people are just coming out. I don't think they're hiding it anymore. So we see here in this piece from Cointelegraph, Martin Young writes, the IMF prefers to regulate crypto than banning it outright.
I read this article and I immediately started thinking, okay, the play is now in action.
Yeah.
You know how you plan and then you start executing?
Yeah.
They're now in the executing phase. They have the media blast, which you guys see all the time with all the big names coming out saying that Bitcoin is nothing.
Of course.
Okay, they now have the banking system ban as well, where the banks are now disassociating themselves with exchanges. Also trying to figure out who has the authority to hold your value.
Right.
You see what's going on with Blue Wallet and a couple of other agencies out there. So that's also an implementation there. Now they're also going the government way. They failed with Venezuela,
El Salvador.
Yeah. So they're trying to figure out what other countries will go by their plan. They already did the INARA in Nigeria. You see how terribly that is going on. So now they're also now looking for other countries to get to follow that theme of CBDCs.
Absolutely. I'm going to read a bit of this here. But before I do, let me just look at what is going on in the comments here. Big Crypto is in the house. This man said we are here, bro. This man showed up and slammed his freaking cup on the table. And he's like, we in this piece.
By the way, I reached out to you on Twitter. Check your DM. Let's meet up and do a Spotify.
Okay. Oh, a podcast.
Podcast.
A podcast.
Spotify.
Yeah, a podcast. All right. Hey, good morning, BK Crypto, man. Top of the morning to you, sir. Thanks for the great info as per usual, says the Metaverse president. Man, listen, man, the Metaverse president is up in this piece, bro. We are honored to have you, sir.
Hey, Metaverse president, are y'all bringing the Metaverse into Bitcoin now? Because I heard about the gents coming into the Bitcoin space.
Oh, man. The DJ's coming to the Bitcoin space. Oh, man. Listen, man, this space is it's something else, man. People will just, they'll keep coming at each other all the time. But we have a comment here. It says, if CBDCs exist, Bitcoin and other decentralized blockchains will continue to grow. Okay, look at that, man. This is, you remember, I've mentioned this a couple of times, but it almost seems like everything you do as a bad actor against Bitcoin, there is consequences for it. It seems, because if we look at everyone who has tried to manipulate the way they interact with Bitcoin, it's always ended up in them losing. I mean, if you look at all the exchanges that were using Bitcoin as a way to
derivatives,
exactly.
Yep.
When it comes crashing down, you lose your Bitcoins.
Yep, that was the big $1 billion Grayscale Bitcoin war against Bitcoin.
Right. So this is very true, and I agree with you there. Everything that they do is really just an advertisement for Bitcoin, right? So this article says the International Monetary Fund would prefer, so they have a preference. The question is, I'm just being sly here, but who cares about their preference? They prefer to differentiate and regulate crypto assets under rather than enforce an outright ban. Through though the nuclear option will remain on the table for now. Now this was at the G20 finance ministers meeting. Is this the one that they have once a year?
Yeah. That's part of the joke we were making earlier this weekend when we were making those recordings. That was the G20,
Yeah.
right? And then how does 190 countries come to a conclusion, or is there a leading set of countries
Right.
that make that decision? And it seems like okay, it's the G20 making the decision on behalf of the IMF
Right.
of what direction money is going to be. So your little country in the middle of nowhere have no say. They're just gonna come to you and tell you this is what we're doing. You just follow.
And this are the same questions that I had when we did the video speaking about the Bretton Woods Agreement. I'm pulling up the other article here, but when we spoke about the Bretton Woods Agreements many videos ago, some of the questions I asked was like, it sounds like this was just a situation where a group of guys who had the advantage at the point in time came together. First of all, it's kind of like when they had the meeting to distribute Africa amongst themselves, right?
Yep.
And this was a conversation that Africans were not in it.
Yep.
So a bunch of guys meet, have this discussion, and then all of a sudden you're chilling at home, and a bunch of people roll up, invading your space or your country. And that's a question I ask about it, because when we have all of these countries that are part of this environment now, and when you look at the predatory lending practices they have, who is jumping at the opportunity to sign up for a program where, first of all, you will not be able to pay the money, and when you don't pay the money, they start taking away your resources within your country, right? So you're signing up to get robbed, essentially. So this other article here, which you sent, the IMF offers Jordan Central Bank recommendations for implementing CBDCs. This is an interesting situation, because obviously now it's naturally just becoming a global leadership organization.
Yeah, it's like implement. Right? Okay, let's implement in the Middle East. Let's implement in Africa.
Yeah.
They pick Nigeria as the major target in Africa. So in the Middle East, because Jordan is their tool that they use to mess up that area of the world. So of course, let's go ahead and infiltrate each other.
Right. So they spent 3 months studying the conditions of the country, which is preparing to produce a feasibility report. Right. Yep. What they're claiming here is that the Central Bank of Jordan is closer to the next steps towards this retail central bank digital currency, or RCBDC. So I guess there's going to be a physical version if you don't have a smartphone. And here they acknowledge, there's a level of cell phone penetration within the area. And for those who do not have cell phones, they'll be able to provide them an RCBDC to improve financial inclusion,
which is also connected to a digital identity.
Right. So when I look at this, I just fail to see the financial inclusion that comes about as a part of this. If you look at the executive order, is it an executive order thing that Biden did recently, where they just lumped up all these lies, from climate change to the fact that the capital flow is real, but it's also real because these entities are failing to do their job, right? And they just lumped it all into one, and that's just the angle that they're using to attack.
The argument is
to sell CBDCs.
Yeah, the argument is that stable coins and cryptocurrencies do not protect the consumer.
Right.
Or do not protect the retail investor, does not protect the investor. As it stands right now, the SEC does not protect, in America, the SEC does not protect the investor.
Yeah.
Or the bank really, it's just the fact that the government can always reprint money. That's their definition of being able to protect the investor. So they figure, okay, private money, which is cryptocurrency really, is not protected or cannot be reprinted, which they do not like. Yeah. So they're saying, okay, as long as they cannot do that, they have to heavily regulate it. Which you guys have to remember, their plan was to heavily regulate it so that it puts a bad taste in people's mouth and they would exit the system. But we know that the blockchain technology has the solution. Literally, all the blockchain environment or the economy needs to do is enforce the technology, ensure the trustless technology, so that when people use it through good governance, which we can also self-regulate. If we do that, people will like, okay, so why do we need CBDCs? So the crash of FTX, Circle, or whatever it is that's out there, BlockFi, it's good for the space. Let's get the space clean so that we can self-regulate. Let the technology do its thing, so that way we don't have to worry about enforcement that is corrupt in a way.
Exactly.
You know what's funny about this Jordanian thing? They themselves even acknowledge that it has issues. How are you going to do CBDCs with cross borders? It goes back to the old competition. They are also acknowledging in this article that it actually might not work. Because, okay, if my country is using this specific CBDC and your country is using that specific CBDC, we're back to the same thing. How do we figure out whose value is what?
Yeah.
You know, like it's like 740 naira to $1 in just one day, and then you wake up the next day, it's 900 naira to $1. That could happen with the CBDCs as well. It's still that same competition.
Yeah, that debasement, total control of the currency. Well, I think as people should not forget why the whole Bitcoin situation exists in the first place.
Yeah.
Because it seems like this is just more shiny objects, just trying to coerce people to go back into the same situation that they're in right now, where these three-letter entities have full control and you don't. And they have even more control now. There is some interesting comments, which we have here, but I cannot read that name, dude. It's a very long one, but he makes two very good points. Well, so is it? We're just gonna call him AKA him or her.
Akim
Or
Wrestling
alternative.
Manchimpana 2012.
Yes, it's a very long name.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Akim Wrestling
Hey,
Manchim.
man, someone is on the burner account. If CBDCs exist, we already read this one. But okay, they also say that the BIS chief, Bank of International Settlements chief, was the former governor of the Bank of Mexico. I actually did not know this. What Mexico does next will paint the picture, in my opinion. Mexico has not been exactly rejecting Bitcoin. In fact, they've had some warm comments on that side. And so he says, I'm surprised Mexico hasn't joined BRICS. That is a very good.
They're still
one there.
benefiting from being America's neighbor.
They're benefiting from being America's neighbor, but at the same time, you also have to think about if they do join BRICS, what message is that sending to America? And
they're gonna destroy Mexico's economy if Mexico ever thinks of joining BRICS.
I don't know, man. I think that if Mexico aligns themselves properly, these things it's all about leverage, man. And at the end of the day, it seems that having the nuclear option is the ultimate leverage. Think about it. Look at North Korea. North Korea is just,
Yeah, but people are not doing well though. North Korea is a different story.
I know people in North Korea are not doing well. That is a great example. It is a country that does not necessarily they don't have exports. They don't produce a ton. They're just secluded, right? Yet they cannot be messed with because of one specific thing, and that's nuclear weapons, right? So I think that the whole BRICS thing will kind of come down to countries are realigning themselves with other nuclear powers, so that they're protected from whatever current nuclear power they're aligned with. It's just what it comes down to.
Geographically, it's gonna be to a disadvantage if Mexico joins BRICS. They're just too attached.
It definitely
it's
is.
not gonna work.
It definitely is. Yeah. Listen, man, Bitcoin is the only option.
Do it virtually. Don't
exactly.
don't do it.
And so someone says XRP.
I can see why people will say XRP.
Pause, roll back. What does it mean by XRP?
Yeah, it's just trying to say that instead of CBDCs, the world could use XRP as a global exchange. The issue with that is that it's still privately controlled.
I was gonna say, is XRP too far from CBDCs? It's really it's centralized control.
Yep.
So it's still the same thing. I would say. Okay.
It's an option if you want to go use it.
Listen, XRP is an option. We just need strong points for it, sir.
Tell us more. We want to know
about it. Yeah. Get a whole Bitcoin should be the goal. This is true, Jake. Get one full Bitcoin. Well, listen, 820 or 920. I'm roll back at time. Any final thoughts, sir? Anything else you want to add?
I think, folks, as you are out there going through your regular life, again, this is not financial advice. Have a wonderful Monday, but the the powers are starting to implement their objective, and you've started to see that. You'll see that with your banks. Don't be surprised. HSBC recently started saying they're not getting involved with any crypto companies.
Yeah.
So you're starting to see the implementation of the action plan, and we've been warning that this is coming. The draconian laws, the draconian regulations. So enforcement of CBDCs, banks shutting down exchanges, so on and so forth. So this might be the best time to start accumulating. It's a war going on right now, and it's about to escalate.
Yeah.
And just get ready for it.
I think you have to have your alternatives, man. And with everything going on, man, I'm just waiting to see, because at the end of the day, what does all of this mean for Bitcoin? The interesting thing about Bitcoin is none of us really know. But so far, it is proving and it is showing itself to be an alternative to all of this garbage. Will it be successful? I don't know.
Some people are saying bring gold back.
Bring who, Peter Schiff? Because that's the only person that I know who is saying that.
Some people are saying bring gold back. I'm not sure, man. Guys, you think gold will ever come back as legal tender?
I mean, personally, I want to bring seashells back. That's where I'm at. Exactly. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for choosing to spend your Monday morning with us. It's incredible. El Damnam El in the house, man. Good morning to you, sir, and have a great day as well.
Yeah.
Right. Please like, share, subscribe. We are on STAKK here on YouTube. Also subscribe to the Gentlemen of Crypto. Really appreciate them letting us do this on their channel every Monday.
Yeah.
We're also on Twitter, STAKKFin. So tweet at us. We'll definitely tweet back.
You said Twitter us. Tweet us.
Yes, tweet at us. Yes,
tweet at us.
Okay. Intentionally said that. Tweet at us. We are on Facebook. I hope no one is offended when I say that we're only on Facebook with old people. I am an old man myself, so I feel like I've earned out the stripes now to say old people. Even though I still feel like some people will be like, you're not old, whatever. And we're still banned on Instagram. However, we've not removed this handle yet, so we need to work on it. And of course, we're on Spotify. STAKK. Until next time, brazen out.
Double O.
Wrong button. We're going this way.